Hello, I'm Trevor Cochran. Welcome to the Garden Gurus. Here's what's coming up on today's show.
Hi, I'm Steve, and on today's show, I'm going to show you how to turn your favourite plant from 1 into 10.
Hi, I'm Melissa, and on today's show, I'll give you some Mother's Day inspiration.
And don't forget about our sensational competitions, a trip for 2 to Ireland, a trip for 2 to South Korea, and we've got that fantastic $15,000 lawn and garden makeover thanks to our friends at Scott's. So sit back, relax, and enjoy.
Digging around. I got my spade, I got my hoe, I got my rake, and I'm ready to go.
When I was first shown how easy it is to grow plants from cuttings, I decided to start my own production nursery. 30 years later, I'm still growing plants for a living, and I love every second of it. Taking cuttings of most plants is much easier than most people think. Our cottage perennials and ground covers, they'll start to produce a root system in 7 to 10 days, and in 3 to 4 weeks, they're ready to plant out. But it's vital that we keep our cuttings small. These plants are living and breathing and constantly transpiring or giving off moisture through their leaves. Without any roots, our cuttings only have this tiny stem area to draw up moisture, so we have to keep the leaf area to a bare minimum. The leaves at the base of the stem are going to be removed altogether. It's from these nodes that our new root system will be produced. The top leaves will cut in half. A cutting 4 to 5 centimetres long is ideal. Next, we dip the cutting into a hormone gel or powder. These contain the same hormones plants produce naturally to heal wounds. It's a way of assisting them in the process. I'm using a purple gel which is ideal for softwood cuttings. For our hardwood cuttings such as figs and mulberries, I'll use a red gel which has got a higher concentration of the active ingredient. We're going to strike our cuttings in koi or cocoa peat. This is bought in dehydrated bricks, we add it to water, and we have the perfect medium in which to grow our cuttings. By using a cutting tray with individual cells, our new plants can develop their own individual root system without them becoming entwined with the other cuttings. It makes them easier to remove and plant out once they've become established. For larger hardwood cuttings, a community pot works just fine. These will take anywhere up to 3 to 4 months to strike and seem to prefer being grouped together than kept separate. It's important to place our cuttings in a shaded position and keep them moist. Some of our natives, such as eucalypts and wattles, don't respond well to cuttings and are really best propagated by seed. Before taking cuttings, do a little bit of research on the net. You'll find out what plants strike easily and the best time of year to take the cuttings. Growing your own plants is so rewarding, and if you're establishing a new garden, it's a wonderful way to save money.
Did you know that healthy plants are more resilient to pest and disease? And sea salt certainly makes them healthier. So it helps to stimulate strong, healthy root growth, promote vigorous flowering and fruiting, and overall garden health. So plants that have been treated with sea salt are better prepared to resist that attack from fungal diseases and sucking insects. I've used it myself on roses, which can be prone to attack, and seen a big difference in health and performance. For potted gardens, add just 30 ml of sea salt to a 9-litre watering can and apply it every 2 weeks. You know what they say, prevention is always better than cure. So if you want healthy looking plants, then practice good garden hygiene and toughen them up with sea salt. We'd love to hear how sea salt has helped transform your garden from ordinary to extraordinary. So head to the Sea Salt Facebook page, tell us your stories and post a photo, and you'll be in with a chance to win a year's worth of sea salt every week. That's a whopping 20 litres each week over the autumn series of the Garden Gurus.
You don't have to be Edward Scissorhands to have the perfect looking hedge. Lily pillies make a beautiful hedge and also a wonderful fire retardant plant. Stay with us, we'll take you to the beautiful Garnish Island.
Here at the Garden Gurus, we're all about sharing great ideas. Here's one that I'm going to share with you from my backyard. Now, this is a custom designed table. We sit our friends around the outside, enjoy fantastic barbecues and entertaining outdoors. But this is specially designed to have a big open space in the middle where we can grow fresh herbs and salad plants. And if you haven't done it now is the time to be potting up your plants and repotting stuff that's already growing. Now, what I'm doing here is putting in some really good quality soil before I go planting some snow peas. Now, the soil I've got, well, it is that fantastic Osmocote Professional Mix. It's got Osmocote actually in it, so it's going to feed it for 4 months. It's also got a wetting agent, which is really important with older soil. I'm going to mix that into the topsoil, and that'll give me the ability to actually plant straight into it and get some incredible growth results. This is a really neat idea, and if you haven't tried it yourself at home, it's not difficult to do. In fact, you can modify existing tables to achieve exactly the same thing. Now, have you entered our competition at the moment? Well, it's $15,000 worth of makeover that will change your life. It's going to convert your garden, improve the lawn. Most importantly, we'll put a whole bunch of edibles in there so you're eating healthy as well. Now, to do it, and it's all thanks to Scott's, all you have to do is simply visit our website. Last week I shared with you some tips on how you can grow a garden without actually having to spend a single cent. And I'm going to share a few more because there are so many of us that grow edible plants at home or annual plants, and collecting the seeds and reusing them is really clever. Take this corn, for example. I had a fantastic crop this year, but there were a few cobs that weren't perfect, and I kept a few over, which is something you should do at home. Whenever you plant out 10 edible plants, keep 2 of them for the seed. The next generation will grow so much better in your garden than the first generation. This corn, what you do, you pop it in here and you let it sit there. It dries out, and by springtime, you're going to find there's all this fantastic corn ready for planting out in the garden. Best of all, didn't cost you a cent. Brilliant. Flowers are very much the same case, although these huge heads which drop their seeds once dry should be picked soon after the flower has finished and the back of the flower head starts to turn yellow. I love sunflowers and the seeds are good for you too, but for us, growing them in the garden at home is simple and it looks amazing. I'll be planting these seeds in September in an open, free-draining, sunny spot. Now, if you want to grow a fruit tree at home, why don't you grow one that's got great value, looks fantastic, and is easy to grow? The simplest tree to grow is, of course, an avocado. They're fantastic trees, and to grow them, well, you can buy them grafted, and you do get a specific variety, but look, that's the nut, that's the seed that comes out of the fruit, and they're so easy to grow. You can even pop a couple of toothpicks on either side and sit it over a glass of water and it'll drop roots down and send a shoot up and then plant it into the garden. Or pop it in a pot with some potting mix or even into the soil in the garden like I did with this tree here. They'll take off. They do take a bit longer to produce fruit, anything up to 7 years, but once they start producing, you'll end up with heaps of fruit. Speaking of trees, the ultimate fruit tree for me is the mango. My trees are just producing fruit now, and like all fruit trees, you're going to get large fruit and some small fruit. Keep the little ones for seedlings, or make sure you save the seeds from the big fruit that you'll be enjoying the flesh from now. Now, the great thing about mango trees is they'll grow just about everywhere in Australia, except for Tassie, it's a bit too cool. But they're a beautiful tree and they're incredibly prolific. Once they get going to a mature stage like this one, this is 5 to 7 years old, it's not unusual for us to get crops in excess of a couple of hundred fruit. Much of that fruit is around about the kilo mark, and the great thing about that is that you'd normally be paying $4 to $5 for them. So the return on investment is sensational. So growing them from seed makes a lot of sense. Now, have you got some gardening tips you'd like to share with us? We'd love you to do it, and the simple way to do it is to pop a photo up on our Facebook site. We can share it with our friends, might even do some stories about it on our show.
The perennial border has been around for centuries, popular in the grandest English gardens. A well-designed perennial border provides colour from spring right through to autumn. So just as one plant begins to fade, another takes centre stage. With summer now behind us, it's time for the autumn beauties to shine. And boy, do they provide a welcome display of late colour. Salvias are fabulous for bridging the gap between late summer and autumn. They're tough, beautiful plants that thrive with little water and make a real statement in the flower border, or planted en masse in an easy care garden. Russian sage is another stunner for late colour. It's got these spires of purple flowers and grey-green foliage on a really tough, dry-tolerant plant. Dahlias provide more welcome splashes of colour. You'll love the dwarf Bishop of Llandaff, with scarlet flowers and rich dark foliage. How a plant looks after it's finished flowering can also be equally important, I think. And now this is one of my favourite plants. This is called Sedum Autumn Joy. And when it bursts into flower in the midsummer, it's a sort of a lolly pink colour. But as autumn progresses, it takes on these beautiful dark colours. And if you don't prune off those flower heads too soon, the seed heads also dry off and hang on the plant well into winter. It's an absolute ripper. Sedum Matrona is another top choice, with masses of mauve pink flowers and attractive purple stems. In the perennial border, it's nice not to just rely on flower colour for impact, and instead look to the longer seasons of foliage texture, colour and form. And if you're looking to do that, this is a really great plant. It's got a long name, it's called Miscanthus transmorrisonensis, but it's a beautiful ornamental grass with an evergreen fountain-like habit. Creating a perennial border is a bit like painting the perfect picture. So plants are chosen not only for their individual qualities, but for their contribution to the overall composition. The planting is also staggered, with taller plants at the back and shorter ones at the front, like a school photo. So every plant has a chance to shine.
The winter veggies are in, which is awesome. But to make the best use of that land, make sure you use a good rough course mulch that's going to feed the plants and protect the soil. Stay with us here on Garden Gurus. We're going to visit the beautiful Garnish Island.
If you've always wanted to visit the great gardens of the world and experience the famous fall foliage, then join me this October on a Fall Colours garden cruise to the USA and Canada. The gardens in this region have to be some of the best anywhere, so this is a trip not to be missed. The tour is fully escorted by a professional Travel Right International tour manager, with me as your garden guide. So see the iconic landmarks and green spaces of New York City before setting sail on the luxury liner, the Serenade of the Seas. We will dock in Boston, Portland, Bar Harbor and Rockland, USA, stopping to wander through some of the world's best gardens and experiencing fall colour at its best. And visit the quaint towns and memorable gardens of Canada's Halifax, Charlottetown, Quebec and Montreal. So if you're a lover of cruising, great gardens, great food and great company, then now is the perfect time to book a spot on board this once-in-a-lifetime journey. If you really want to make Mum smile this Mother's Day, then get into your local garden centre and make a lasting impression with a living gift. If you're after something stylish and sophisticated, you can't go wrong with orchids. She'll love breathtaking cymbidiums. Enjoy them indoors when they're in flower, then plant them outdoors for more spectacular displays. You can't go wrong with a moth orchid. They're such elegant plants with beautiful waxy flowers that last for ages. The cyclamen is a Mother's Day favourite, with elegant marbled foliage and unique twisted flowers in a range of colours. Look out for double-flowered forms, varieties with frilly petals and scented types for indoor fragrance. Repeat flowering roses are such a feature of the autumn garden, and with so many beautiful named varieties around, you're sure to find one with a special significance for your mum. Like my stunning mother and daughter rose, with beautifully scented sunny yellow flowers that bloom from spring right through to late autumn. It helps to raise funds for much needed motor neurone disease research and makes the perfect gift for mum. If mum's more the giftware type of girl, then I'll let you in on a little secret. Garden centres are a haven for boutique gifts, homewares and garden decor that you won't find anywhere else. And if you really want to make Mum's Day, then why not get your hands on all of the ingredients to tailor-make a special living gift? So for the gourmet mum, you could get a decorative pot and fill it with Mediterranean-style herbs, or create a hanging basket and fill it with autumn's prettiest flowers.
The Yates Facebook page has thrown up a ripper question this week thanks to Jen Ward. Now, Jen was out in a garden, got near the compost bin, and a rat has run out across the garden. She wants to know how to control them. Well, The thing with rats is they will hang around any food source, so bird cages, chicken pens, but also fruit trees and compost bins. Yes, fruit trees, they will get in and eat your fruit. You do have to control them, and there is no easy way around it, but there is some good news. You see, Yates have a clever solution. You could try traps, noise deterrents, but the truth is rats are cunningly smart. In fact, if you bait them, the other rats will watch, and should one of the clan die, they won't eat that food again, which means baiting is ineffective unless you use this clever technology from Yates Ratsat. It takes 4 days for this bait to be effective, and by then the whole nest of rats has consumed it, so you get total control over them. Now this is really important because they spread diseases and they can impact your crops very negatively. Now, if you're worried about pets and also children, you can get these plastic stations. They're a bait station. You put a block on the inside, they'll eat that. When it's gone, you throw the plastic bait station away and you've still achieved the same thing. Very, very clever. Have you got a question that we haven't answered yet? Well, why don't you write into the Yates Facebook page? It's that easy. Post a picture, tell us where you're from, we'll answer the question. It is simple.
Sasanqua camellias are one of the first camellias to grace our gardens, so they flower through the autumn and winter period when the garden really needs a lift. And if you are looking to save space and create a beautiful piece of art, then they're one of the best plants to espalier. For more green inspiration, join us after the break when we visit a sensational Irish garden.
South Korea is a fascinating country, and we'd love to send 2 lucky viewers off for their own soul experience. In one of the world's biggest cities, there's no shortage of things to do. Whether you want to take in the night skies from the Seoul Tower or head out for some authentic street food, the choice is yours. For your chance to win 2 return flights plus 4 nights accommodation, just head to our website. It's that easy.
Ireland is home to some of the world's greatest gardens, and one of them is a short boat ride from Glengariff Harbour, part of Bantry Bay, to a very special place on the wild Atlantic Way, known as Innicullen or Garnish Island. This garden island is a national treasure. Now, its recent history starts back in 1910 when Annan Bryce purchased the island off the War Office. Now, his wife Violet is a passionate gardener, and together they commissioned Harold Peto. Now, this guy is an incredible landscape architect, and he starts building gardens right across the island. It is a stunning place, and there are 2 gardens that I've just got to show you. The first is actually the Italian garden, but right now, let me take you for a walk through this one. This is the walled garden. It is absolutely stunning. The walled garden uses a particular type of planting to great effect. You see, they've used herbaceous perennials all the way down a central run through here. Now, this brings tremendous colour from late spring right through the summer months, but in the autumn, these plants start to go dormant and they do lose their sheen. During the winter, they rest, they're quiet, their soil's basically just sitting there, and come springtime, it all starts again with magnificent colour. This is the hottest trend in gardening worldwide because it's bringing so much colour into the backyard. And when you walk through this, you really understand why. The island's history goes back long before the Bryce's time, and there's a timely reminder about it with a huge Martello Tower dating back to the times of the Napoleonic Wars. This one is unique because unlike the traditional Martello Tower design of a splayed base, this one is straight up and down. The Italian garden is simply stunning, and I've got to tell you, it's beautiful now, but come springtime and early summer, it is absolutely sensational. Now, the one thing that makes this quite different is the use of colour, and there is colour here pretty much all year round, but when you get here in the spring, the colour is just mind-blowing. When you look at the structure of this garden, the way it's framed at the back, it's just the perfect picture. The garden spreads over 15 hectares, and many of the plants that grow here grow nowhere else in Ireland, and it's all got to do with the island's mild microclimate. Now, the island gets around 1,850 millimetres of rain a year, and sometimes as high as 2,540 millimetres. And this is spread evenly throughout the year, ensuring the best possible growing conditions. The garden here has the most amazing collection of plants. Now, they were introduced from all over the world. There's all sorts of plants, including some from Australia. This one here is the Tasmanian tree fern, Dicksonia antarctica. It is an absolute ripper, but to find it here in Ireland is fascinating. Now you'll see all sorts of things here, the most incredible rhododendron collection, and there's even the giant rhubarb plant just over there, Gunnera maculata. It is an absolute beauty. If you're not a garden lover as such, don't worry. This is a brilliant place to stroll, to sit down and take in the scenery, and the coast is both spectacular and also alive with wildlife. To get here, well, it's a 20-minute boat ride across beautiful Bantry Bay. It's always smooth water, and from the water, looking back over this amazing coastline, you really get to take into account just how spectacular the scenery really is. Now, on the way, you'll see the island, and you'll also get to see a few seals because they live on a lot of the little rocky outcrops on the way over. It's a really special place, and another great reason to take the Wild Atlantic Way.
Ireland is a country of 40 shades of green and plenty of other colours mixed in. It's also home to some of the world's great gardens. The walled garden of Kylemore Abbey, the U Experience, Glebe Gardens, and the list goes on. And Tourism Ireland want to share the gardening love with you along the Wild Atlantic Way. 2 lucky Garden Gurus viewers have got the chance to come here to the Emerald Isle. You'll get flights, accommodation and car hire. Couldn't be better than that. And entry is simple. Go to our website and the best of Irish luck.
Well, that's it for this week's show. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, we are back next week with another brilliant episode. We'll take you into another stunning international garden. Remember, you can win a trip for 2 to Ireland, trip for 2 to South Korea. All you have to do is like us on Facebook, share the page and fill out your entry forms on our website. It's that easy. And whilst you're there, don't forget to enter the $15,000 lawn and garden makeover thanks to our friends at Scott's. I'm Trevor Cochran. We'll see you next week for the Garden Gurus.